A portion of today's video is brought to you by Caseology with their Pixel 7a case lineup. More from them later on in the video.
Yo, what is good people? Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are back with another video. This time, camera comparison between the Pixel 7a and the Galaxy A54. And we're pretty much going to test how the camera performs in low light, daylight, photos, and videos. So yeah, let's go through the specs quickly and then come back to the camera comparison.
A quick breakdown of the camera hardware and specs, and starting with the Pixel 7a. Compared to the Pixel 6a, we have all new cameras with a 64 megapixel main sensor, a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and a 13 megapixel selfie. The Galaxy A54 does have a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 5 megapixel macro, and a 32 megapixel selfie. The best way to watch this video is on the largest display possible with headphones and at the highest resolution and frame rate, which is 4K 60. There will be chapters in the description so you can watch it to where you want, but definitely sit back, relax, watch it all the way through because it is going to be a good one.
So we are starting off with the selfie camera, with both cameras shooting in 4K UHD 30 frames a second, basically seeing how the image quality, sharpness, detail, dynamic range, and most importantly, stabilization is like. It's an overcast day, sun's not out, even if it's meant to in the summertime in the UK, but we're working with what we've got. Quick run. So we've now switched, still on the selfie camera, to 1080p, 30 frames a second video recorder mode. Just seeing how the image quality changes are like. Quick run. So we're now recording in the 1080p 60 frames a second video recording mode, seeing if anything changes, especially with the stabilization and also the image quality and the overall dynamic range. There's no option for 4K 60 FPS, and I believe the Pixel 7a should be powerful enough because of the G2 chip inside to do it, but nonetheless, 1080p 60, 4K 30. Quick run. So we are now in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recording mode on the main rear cameras. And again, just seeing how the image quality, stabilization, dynamic range, detail, colors look like. Quick run. Switch to the ultra wide. Recording. Camera lens change looks smoother on the Pixel 7a. We're just seeing how that holds up. Quick run. Back to the main camera. Yep, definitely a smoother lens change on the Pixel 7a. Now both do not have a dedicated zoom. They do have a digital zoom at 2x and 2x, which I believe should be cropping in on the main sensor. Quick run. Let's go back to the main camera. A few things to consider when you're shooting in 4K UHD 30 frames a second on both these cameras. You can pause the recording on the same clip and continue, and the video will be on the same clip. You can also take pictures while recording on the same clip, but the Galaxy A54, just like their flagship phones, does allow you to switch to the selfie from the back camera. This is one advantage that the Samsung Galaxy A54 has that the Pixel 7a doesn't. So definitely consider this for your shooting style for video if that is important to you. The Galaxy can do that and the Pixel 7a cannot. We're still in the 4K UHD video recording mode on both the Pixel 7a and the A54, but this time the Pixel 7a is recording in 4K UHD 60 frames a second on the main sensor, whereas the A54 is limited to 4K 30. So this is flagship level stuff on the Pixel 7a when it comes to video recording. Quick run. Now, a few things to consider when shooting in a 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recording mode on the Pixel 7a. You cannot record in 4K 60 frames a second on the ultra wide, just on the main sensor. Unlike on the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro. I don't know whether Google's protecting the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro, giving them a reason to have more recording modes when it is powered by the same Tensor G2. But one thing you should consider protecting is your Pixel 7a. And that's where the sponsor of a portion of today's video, Caseology, comes in.
When it comes to getting the right case to protect your Pixel 7a, Caseology have you covered with their Pixel 7a case lineup featuring Nanopop, Parallax, A-Flex, and Capella. The Capella case is one of the best cases and easiest way to show off the colorway of your Pixel 7a thanks to the use of an ultra clear polycarbonate back, a flexible thermoplastic polyurethane frame for scratch protection and shock absorption. For amazing grip when holding your Pixel 7a, there is a high quality side dot pattern on both sides for added security while providing a nice comfortable grip. The Nanopop uses an anti-dust coating with a strong hard shell silicone feel, which offers great grip thanks to the side dot pattern while remaining lint and dust free. Backed with a nice two-tone colorway, you get great protection thanks to the dual layer design of the inner PC plate and outer TPU shell, keeping a snug fit and a slim profile while providing military grade drop protection. The Parallax brings a unique look thanks to the 3D hexacube design, which offers great ergonomics, grip and feel, all thanks to the additional side dot pattern for comfort and a secure handling. Last but not the least is the A-Flex case, which uses a special design and feel with a two-tone colorway around the camera housing and the rear inner groove of the case. The sandstone-like texture aids to that special feeling in the hand, in addition to the side grip pattern for excellent handling. Check the links in the description below for where you can get your Caseology cases for your Pixel 7a, and thank you to Caseology for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Now, back to the camera comparison.
So, recording in 4K UHD 60 frames a second on the Pixel 7a versus 1080p 60 on the A54. Just seeing how the image quality difference is like, as you cannot shoot in 4K 60 on the Galaxy A54. Quick run. Now we're recording both in 1080p 60 frames a second for the Pixel 7a and the Galaxy A54. Quick run. Now, one limitation I've already seen with the Galaxy A54 is it does not give you the option to shoot 4K 60 frames a second on the ultra wide. But with the Pixel, smoothly switches to the ultra wide in 1080p 60. Then back to the main camera sensor, ultra wide, 2x zoom, main, smoothly. The Galaxy A54 doesn't even allow you to zoom in at 1080p 60, so that is one limitation to consider. It still does allow you to switch to the selfie in 1080p 60, which you cannot do on the Pixel 7a. So we are in the 1080p 30 frames a second video recorder mode on both. I think this will be a very common resolution and frame rate to be shooting on what are effectively mid-range phones. Quick run. In this mode, just like in 4K 30, you can switch to the other lenses. Although I won't demonstrate it on this one, the Galaxy A54 does allow you to switch to the selfie and back to the main camera. The option still shows here as well. We're recording in 1080p 30 frames a second, but this time in the active stabilization mode on the Pixel 7a versus the super steady on the Galaxy A54. We're going to do an extreme run just to see how they handle stabilization. So we're now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode, but this time with me in the frame as the subject, just seeing how the image quality, colors, sharpness, detail, dynamic range is like. And we're still in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode, but we've switched to the ultra wide. Just seeing how the image quality is like on the ultra wide in 4K 30 frames a second. We are now in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode in low light on the Pixel 7a versus the Galaxy A54. Switch to ultra wide. And back to the main. Switching to the Selfie 4K UHD 30 frames a second in low light.
Let's move over to the daylight shot, starting with the landscape images of the scene. Firstly, with the ultra wide, and both the Pixel and Galaxy take a different approach when it comes to their final image, with the Pixel 7a going for a more high contrast look, which is more accurate to the scene, while the Galaxy A54 is raising the shadows and producing a more saturated image. This translates to be the same output when moving to the main wide sensors, with the exception of the Pixel 7a retaining more detail in the shadows. When doing a 2x digital zoom, thanks to Google's super res zoom technology, the Pixel 7a is producing a better final image with more detail and clarity. And at the extreme end of 8x zoom on the Pixel and 10x zoom on the Galaxy, both in this situation don't produce the best images. One advantage the Galaxy A54 does have is the ability to shoot in a 50 megapixel mode, which is unbinned, unlike the Pixel 7a, which does not give you the option to shoot in a 64 megapixel unbinned image. In the last set of landscape images of the scene, this is to show when pushing the extended zoom range of both cameras how the image holds up. The final image output stays consistent like before, with the exception of the Pixel 7a processing a cleaner image when looking at the world's #1 sign at the 8x and 10x zoom respectively. With this close-up shot of the flower with the main sensor, both look to have a similar minimum close focus and distance, with the Pixel retaining more detail and better colors overall. The Galaxy A54 does have a slight advantage to get closer to the flower thanks to the dedicated macro lens, but detail is lacking when using it. Moving to the selfie, both produce great results with each having their own unique strengths. The Galaxy A54, without using portrait mode, looks to produce a nice natural background blur with good overall detail and colors. The Pixel 7a shines with excellent detail, sharpness, and even better colors and skin tone, thanks to Real Tone. Both give you the option of shooting in a wider field of view on the selfie, with the Pixel 7a having a slightly wider view. When taking portrait selfies, the image quality and characteristics are the same as before, and not by much, but the Galaxy A54 does have a better edge detection for a cleaner looking portrait selfie. Last set of daylight pictures using the rear cameras with me in the frame as the subject, starting with the ultra wide. The Pixel is producing a nice overall image with better detail, sharpness, dynamic range, and colors. Things improved greatly for the Galaxy A54 when moving to the main wide sensor, and in a lot of ways I do prefer the look of the final image this time around compared to the Pixel 7a, ever so slightly. When using portrait mode, although you have a slightly wider field of view with less crop on the Galaxy A54, backed with good edge detection, the overall image on the Pixel is sharper, more detailed, with better colors and great edge detection with blur. Now for some low light images, and we take a look at the ultra wide lens. With night mode disabled for a fast capture, the Galaxy A54 is doing a much better job with less noise, a cleaner image, and less color shift. Although things clean up better for the pixel when moving to the main wide sensor, I still prefer the final image on the Galaxy A54's main sensor. Here's where the use of night mode is really needed, especially for the ultra wide, as things clean up a lot better for the Pixel 7a, while the Galaxy A54 still holds strong with a cleaner image. With night mode on the main sensor, both hold up well, with better colors slightly on the A54, while the Pixel produces less artifacts in the night sky. Moving over to low light selfies, in this situation I captured both without night mode, then with night mode, then with the front screen flash. This was then repeated in portrait mode, with the only limitation on the Galaxy A54 being it does not allow you to use night mode when using portrait mode on the selfie at the same time, which is something you can do on the Pixel 7a. Overall, the low light selfie performance favors the Pixel 7a. Last set of low light images using the rear cameras with me in the frame as the subject, starting with the main wide sensor on both with night mode disabled. Although the Galaxy produces a brighter image, in this case, with multiple attempts, it looks to have missed focus and produced a softer image compared to the sharper in-focus image of the Pixel 7a. Although the image on the ultra-wide is brighter and slightly more detailed on the Pixel 7a, I wouldn't necessarily call it more usable than the A54. Once night mode is active, you see a massive improvement to the Pixel 7a when it comes to exposure, while still keeping a close to nighttime look. Unfortunately, the A54 struggles to nail focus. Night mode does wonders to improve the final image greatly on both phones, bringing them to a place where the final image is much more usable on the ultra wide. Although the field of view is much more cropped in portrait mode on the Pixel 7a compared to the A54, with night mode disabled, the Pixel is still able to produce a portrait image with blur, which the A54 just wasn't able to do. And with the A54 not allowing night mode with portrait mode or flash with portrait mode, with the main rear camera as a limitation, the Pixel 7a produces an even better image when using night mode with portrait mode together. Let's summarize the video performance starting with the selfie camera. It's pretty much safe to say that the overall video performance is a lot better on the Pixel 7a, which produces nice colors, holds better detail and sharpness, and most importantly, better video stabilization, especially when comparing the 1080p 60 frames per second selfie mode. The Galaxy A54 looks to have no stabilization at all compared to the Pixel 7a. Now for the rear camera. When shooting in 4K 30 frames per second on the main wide sensor, the Galaxy A54 actually produces better detail and a sharper video image compared to the Pixel 7a, which although looks to have a more vibrant look and image, lacks the detail and sharpness I was expecting to see, with the video looking heavily processed, smudgy and soft, lacking any detail. The Galaxy A54 also gives you the flexibility to switch to the selfie camera and back to the rear cameras all on the same clip without stopping the recording, which the Pixel only allows you to switch between the two rear cameras. The Pixel 7a does have the advantage of shooting in 4K 60 frames per second, which is an option not available on the A54, but no, this is limited to the main wide sensor only, as the ultra wide is limited to 4K 30 frames per second. The unfortunate thing also with the Galaxy A54 is that when shooting in 1080p 60 frames per second, it's limited to just the main wide sensor and you lose video stabilization compared to the Pixel 7a, which does allow you to record on both rear cameras and switch between them when recording. That is it with this ultimate camera comparison between the Pixel 7a and the Galaxy A54. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. Hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.